What's so funny?
Just thinking of a joke.
This tweet right here kicked off a mild debate on Twitter a few months back. Hey Film Twitter, I got a question. We all know red flag movies, Fight Club, The Joker, etc., that we all spot on sight, but is there any green flag movies? Movies that you hear someone say that makes you instantly trust or like a person? And the responses were interesting. Red flag movie, green flag movie prompts are so embarrassing, so gauche to reduce someone's personality down to their taste in art. For example, I have amazing taste in movies and I'm awful to hang out with. Just vile. That's great. People who make liking Fight Club and Joker a red flag are a red flag for me. Liking movies is a red flag, you idiots. Anyone who likes what I don't like is insidious, and anyone who likes what I do like is trustworthy. Why do I keep being easily tricked by abusers? How can this be? My standards and methods of character judgment are so rational and thorough. The red flag generally isn't liking the movie itself, it's the reason why they like the movie. For example, if someone likes Fight Club because they want to be like Tyler Durden, that's a red flag. Maybe I'm ignorant, but I would assume the majority of fully grown adults would be able to immediately understand a character is bad while still enjoying a movie, because people aren't as stupid as you think, and so not automatically call them a bad person for liking a movie. We do not all know red flag movies like Fight Club and Joker, but to answer the question, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Why not judge each person by getting to know them personally instead of stereotypical blanket assumptions based on flags that others have metaphorically risen to dismiss their ideology, which in most cases are much more nuanced than you are capable or willing to explore? Next time you run into someone covered in blood, holding a machete, and wearing a black hood, I hope you don't go making blanket assumptions and instead engage this obviously deeply nuanced individual. Oh God! Oh God! Well, after going down the rabbit hole for a bit, it seems that the concept of a quote red flag movie does hold some weight in certain circles. The female dating strategy subreddit, which also seemed to give some validity to this whole red flag idea, had many suggestions of movies that could, or should, fall into this category. These movies include Fight Club, Joker, A Clockwork Orange, Taxi Driver, Blue is the Warmest Color, Pulp Fiction, Eraserhead, Irreversible, I Spit on Your Grave, American Sniper, American Psycho, Django Unchained, Nightcrawler, No Country for Old Men, Scarface, The Dark Knight, The Matrix, The Godfather, The Social Network, The Wolf of Wall Street, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Braveheart, Roadhouse, and one user even stating the horror genre as a whole.
You sick fucks, you've seen one too many movies.
Nah, Sid, don't you blame the movies! Movies don't create psychos! Movies make psychos more creative!
Well, there's a lot to unpack here, but today we're going to focus our attention on the two movies from the tweet that kicked off this video. We're going to be discussing David Fincher's Fight Club and Todd Phillips' Joker. We're going to talk about the movies themselves, as well as the fandom surrounding them. Are these movies that, if someone to proclaim their affection for, should set off some kind of red flag? Well, spoiler alert, no. But let's get into it.
I want you to do me a favor.
Yeah, sure.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Back in 2004, director David Fincher made a rare public appearance as he sat down and talked at length about 1999's Fight Club with author Chuck Palahniuk. There were a lot of interesting tidbits about the making of the film, but there were a few choice quotes that stood out. While discussing his qualms with the movie's fans, he stated, "My daughter had a friend named Max, she told me. Fight Club is his favorite movie. I told her never to talk to Max again."
What?
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
He also stated, Fight Club is about moving through a modern, disconnected society. It's a satire. Many don't get that.
We're still men.
Yes, we're men. Men is what we are.
Fight Club is the story of an unnamed narrator, played by Edward Norton. He's an ordinary guy who works for a boring software company until he meets Tyler Durden, an almost impossibly cool soap maker / good-looking fellow, played by Brad Pitt. From there, Fight Clubs form and chaos ensues.
This is so fucking stupid.
The narrator is an unadventurous office clone, clearly in awe of Durden's devil-may-care attitude and self-destructive lifestyle. Yet as much as he envies him, he can hardly emulate him. Durden is just too impulsive, too limitless, too damn nihilistic.
People think that I'm you. Answer me!
The narrator and Tyler are, in fact, the same person, with the latter merely being a manifestation of an id let loose.
We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. And very, very pissed off.
It's Fight Club's easy quotability that made it both instantly popular and for some unbearable. How many times can you see a screenshot of the narrator and Marla watching buildings explode, soundtracked by Pixies before it becomes abstract, separate from the film itself? Durden's lengthy speeches with lines such as,
The middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives.
make Fight Club easy to chop into sound bites, and Durden's speeches gives Fight Club a mythic, religious quality. It's easy to see how a generation would hold the film to such a high esteem that it was held. And yes, it's absolutely fair to say that many young men did take the wrong message away from Fight Club, viewing Tyler Durden as an aspirational figure, and conveniently ignoring the fact that he's, a fabricated embodiment of the protagonist's mental illness whose monologue shouldn't be taken seriously.
This is so fucking stupid.
Audiences and critics alike largely miss the fact that Fincher's film is a satire of traditional, noxious masculinity and the forces within society which reinforce it. Peter Travers at Rolling Stone loved it, writing, "Fight Club pulls you in, challenges your prejudices, rocks your world, and leaves you laughing in the face of an abyss." However, the renowned Roger Ebert hated it. Quote, "Fight Club is the most frankly and cheerfully fascist big star movie since Death Wish, a celebration of violence in which the heroes write themselves a license to drink, smoke, screw, and beat one another up. Sometimes, for variety, they beat up themselves. It's macho porn." Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian was also none too enamored, remarking, "By the end, it has unraveled catastrophically into a strident, shallow, pretentious bore with a twist ending that doesn't work."
I don't understand this.
You were looking for a way to change your life. You could not do this on your own. All the ways you wish you could be, that's me.
At its surface, Fight Club is a movie about the middle-class masses of men fighting the oppressive banality and conformity of modern society through literal fistfights and the occasional blowing up of public buildings. But if you dig a little deeper, you find that the movie doesn't really advocate these ideas. The characters might, but the film's core absolutely doesn't. Fight Club is executed with enough style that less attentive viewers miss the critique, even if it's absurd that anyone over the age of 15 could get to the end of the movie and not see Project Mayhem for the insane sham that it is.
The demolitions committee of Project Mayhem wrapped the foundation columns of a dozen buildings with blasting gelatin. In 2 minutes, primary charges will blow base charges and a few square blocks will be reduced to smoldering rubble.
Politically, Fight Club could fall on the spectrum wherever you want it to, depending on your own personal interpretation of the film's views. The glorification of individualism is vaguely right-wing, while the idea of the collective and rebellion against the rich would appear to put it on the left. It deals in libertarian ideas about freedom, but displays the power of controlled regimentation in a borderline fascist manner. Ultimately, however, the film is simply critical of everything and everyone, every creed and any gender, calling for disorder and devastation as a way to assert one's own value. Overall, while Fight Club is about virulent masculinity, it's also about so much more than that. It's about what happens when you remove social mores, take aim at capitalist structures, transcend your fear of death. The answer is, it doesn't look good. At the end of the film, it becomes clear that Durden embodies the narrator's ego, the side of ourselves that would be unleashed if our id wasn't putting in the hours. In order to survive, the narrator must destroy his ego. Fight Club is a film that needs the men in its audience to engage with some level of introspection, to look past the shallow coolness of a hyper-masculine idol and realize how the cult of masculinity has the potential to destroy everything. The narrator may have saved himself, but he only did so by snapping out of his self-delusion. It's now up to the audience to recognize how they've been tricked, what that deception means for how they exist in the world, and to enter a post-Durden life.
You are not your job. You're not how much money you have in the bank. Not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet. You're not your fucking khakis. You were the all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world.
Good morning. It's 42 degrees at 10:30 on this Thursday, October 15th. I'm Stan L. Brooks, and here's what's happening.
Just as Fight Club had been deemed an empowering film for angry young men, so too was 2019's Joker, pillared by many for its supposed influence on so-called rage-filled males. The film pierced itself into public consciousness like a surgical incision and stirred public debate in a way we hadn't seen in years. With all this in mind, the comparisons to Fight Club seemed unavoidable. Both are loosely about disenfranchised men who experience psychotic episodes and turn to violence. Both films sparked debates about whether they will incite real-world violence. Fight Club's release was labeled irresponsible and appalling, while Joker was a Category 5 cinematic fiasco even before it won the Golden Lion at the Venice International Film Festival. Many fans have even pondered whether Fight Club is the origin story for Joker.
Years and I've never seen anything like it. What is this world coming to?
On the one hand, Joker is a hauntingly powerful story of a man failed. At one point in the film, the man himself offers up a joke that serves as the film's thesis.
What do you get?
I don't think so.
When you cross
I think
a
we're
mentally
done
ill
with your
loner
jokes.
with
That's
a
it.
society that abandons him and treats him like trash.
Essentially, the whole film serves as the answer to this question.
Get what you fucking deserve.
Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck is a man wrestling with serious mental illness in a Gotham City that's crumbling with no support system there to help him. His social services appointed therapist barely listens to him, only offering the most superficial advice and administering the prescriptions his doctor writes. Then, as the film progresses, we see the city cut funding to these programs, and Arthur is left without even this. He has no therapist, no access to his medication, no safety net of any kind. Joker is about a man who's convinced that society has gone entirely mad, who explicitly believes in nothing and no moral code, and who becomes a folk hero for turning to violence as a result. The way the movie is structured and shot strongly suggests that he may be the only sane one in a crazy world. The media hyped the movie up as some sort of demented call to arms. It wasn't, of course, but if some violence had occurred, it wouldn't have been the filmmakers who were at fault. Charles Manson claimed to have been inspired by the Beatles' White Album to order his followers to conduct brutal murders. That's not the Beatles' fault. The Catcher in the Rye has been linked, albeit tenuously, to a number of murders, but that's not the book's fault. The worst fans of Breaking Bad saw Walter White's destructive and egomaniacal path as heroic, but that's a misreading of the text. They saw what they wanted to see. We can't fall into the trap of using the worst fans of a work of art to throw out or invalidate the work of art. So, just so the point is clear, the idea of a red flag movie is utter nonsense. It's this weird thing we do. We often feel intuitively that we can judge others by their tastes. Unfortunately, those judgments are often wrong, largely because we pay attention to the wrong things. Is there any truth that there is a connection between entertainment and personality traits? Sure there is, but not quite in a way that most of us think, and not with movie preferences. Pavel Blagov, an associate professor of psychology at Whitman College, co-published a study on this very topic. In an interview with Salon, he said that he and his research team wanted to use previous research to predict links between entertainment preferences and recent models of maladaptive personality traits. The researchers surveyed 379 Americans between the ages of 18 to 65 about their musical taste, movie interests, personality traits, and psychopathic tendencies. They accounted for sex and age differences too. To Blagov's surprise, the links were not strong between personality and the kinds of music and movies people enjoy. He was quoted as saying, "The links between maladaptive traits and entertainment preferences were relatively weak. Therefore, finding out what music and movies a person likes does not readily allow us to guess how withdrawn, eccentric, fearless/dominant, or hostile the person is. This is somewhat surprising to the extent that people, especially younger people, may identify strongly with their favorite entertainment genres, and they may try to judge the personalities of others based on such preferences. One of the great things about movies is how open they are to interpretation. Depending on when you see them, your age and mood and general disposition, your assessment of those movies could be wildly different than somebody who is even in the same theater with you. As they say, one person's trash is another's treasure, and vice versa. A movie's meaning can be fluid that way. In the end, what we find enjoyable in movies is strikingly subjective. So with regard to, quote, red flag movies, do yourself a favor and take the ages-old advice of not judging a book by its cover. Or in this case, don't judge a young man by his Fight Club poster. Thanks for watching, guys.
Good night. And always remember, that's...